Hello, this is Darius James and welcome to Spartan Health and Nutrition.com. I want to thank you for viewing the YouTube channel and the link in the description below. You can also find the link to the blog. So if you like the written content, you can explore that as well, or subscribe to the podcast if you want to hear just the audible. And in this video, I am going to be talking about 5 ways to reach emotional freedom. Emotional freedom. How many of us can really say that we have emotional freedom? Most people just strive for success. They're fixated on just materialistic things, and they're trying to do whatever they can financially to relieve their financial distress and achieve financial freedom. But what about your emotional freedom? That makes a bigger difference than anything that we do in our life. That is the most powerful force of human nature, is achieving our emotional freedom. Because everything else leads up to the success, that leads up to the productivity, that leads up to our happiness. So we have to strive for financial freedom by any means possible. I've read books, I've gone to seminars, I've attended events, I've talked to mentors, I've researched the topic so much, and I've learned from it. Because when I was younger, I was struggling emotionally. And then I started struggling mentally. And I was also struggling physically. Because those all correlate with one another. Our mind, body, and spirit are all connected as one. And I had to improve not just one area, but I had to improve all 3 areas. And I reached emotional freedom by taking these 5 steps. Now, before I want to talk about the 5 steps, I want you to completely understand what the nature of emotions are. What is the exact nature, the core concept of emotions? How many people think about that on a day-to-day basis? How many people experience emotional freedom? How many do you know? Are you experiencing emotional freedom in your life? Are you taking the steps necessary to improve the 3 building blocks? Emotional health, mental health, physical health. To achieve your goals, to reach your dreams, and feel happy, confident. Are you doing that in your life? I remember when I was in high school, it was an emotional roller coaster. And I'm sure a lot of people can correlate to this. I'm sure I wasn't the only one. But every story is different. And from my personal experience, when I became a junior or senior, I was stressed. I wasn't sure where my life was going. I started dating. And dating itself is an emotional roller coaster. If you're an adult, or if you're a young man, or if you're a young woman, doesn't matter. Every time we date somebody, it's an emotional roller coaster. And sometimes I had a girlfriend, and when it didn't work out, my emotional state suffered. And I had negativity in my mind, and I had negativity in my body and my spirit. And I had to learn to remove that negativity. That way I didn't have to suffer and feel pain. Now, the nature of emotions themselves. A lot of people associate their emotions with their mental state of being. They are convinced that what they think about will achieve what emotions that they have. Emotional freedom and mental freedom are two different things. Negativity is your enemy. You have to harness your weapons against it. And the way to do that is to understand the nature. Your mentality, your mental state regarding emotions, the only thing that is really exponential is your attitude. Your attitude towards things. Regarding emotions, I would say that is the most important thing of the mental state. But even that is still the tip of the iceberg. Emotions really have to do with our bodies. Why our bodies? Because our bodies have to do with touch, feel, taste. Our bodies have to do with our emotions. Now, an analogy that I have is the correlation between physical pain in our bodies, right? When we feel physical pain, it hurts. That pain is our body's way to say, stay away from that environment. Whatever you're going through, that's your body's way of letting you know that you're in trouble, that you're in danger, right? Our bodies will also let us know when our emotions are suffering. When we feel emotional pain, when we feel depression, for example. Now, the only reason why our bodies do that is not to keep us in that state. A lot of people become fixated. You have to let those emotions just travel through you. You can't control it. A lot of times when something traumatic happens to us, we automatically feel emotions, and sometimes it's out of our control, right? But understand that those emotions will pass. If you're dealing with negativity, it will pass. It's not forever. You can't be fixated on it. You have to disconnect whatever experience that you had, either good or bad. You have to disconnect it, and it will travel through you and let it flow, and it will leave and it will pass. The same goes with positive emotions. That's why we need to reinforce those positive emotions. You have to keep it flowing through our bodies, and that's how you achieve happiness. Don't get so caught up in excitement and the spur of the moment that you forget about your happiness, which I see a problem a lot in our society. We're trained to experience excitement. We're trained to chase excitement. But how many of us truly chase happiness? Every time we turn on the television, what do we experience? We experience excitement, a spur of the moment thing, either a product or a course or whatever TV show we like. That's exciting, right? But what about our happiness? You can't look for those things for happiness. So that's how you understand the nature of your emotions. Now, to gain control of your emotions, like if you say, what's wrong with me? You have to gain control of yourself. A lot of people reinforce that negativity by saying things like, I'm hopeless, it's helpless. What's wrong with me? Nothing is wrong with you. You just, like I said earlier, you just have to let those emotions pass and flow through you. And if you're truly struggling, you have to understand that negative emotions bond together. To gain control, you have to understand that. When they bond together, it's almost impossible to have a positive attitude. Negative emotions are like magnets. They stick to each other. They bond together, and they don't go anywhere until you separate them. If you want to feel positivity and you want to have a positive attitude, you have to take away that negativity. You have to strip those negative emotions from your body, from your mind, from your spirit. And that's how you gain control. Now, tip number 1 on how to achieve emotional freedom is remove an ego. Now, when a lot of people think about an ego, what do they think about? What do we associate an ego with? A lot of people think of pride, right? And what do we think about when we think of pride? We think of things that are negative, things that are bad, things that create chaos, right? Well, that's not always the case with an ego. You could still have an ego and be a humble person. An ego is not something strictly for bad people. It can happen to any one of us. And the ego is very selfish. It feeds itself. It only cares about itself. It identifies through our belief system and identifies through our goals. It identifies through our ideas. And it contemplates that and it processes that. And it starts to form attachments to some things through our past experiences. And the only reason why an ego exists is because of a lack of self-awareness. Self-awareness and an ego cannot correlate. If you have an exponential ego, your self-awareness is way below. If you uplift your self-awareness and reach a higher level of consciousness, your ego will disappear. You have to be more open to possibilities. For example, when somebody challenges your beliefs, how do you react to that? If somebody were to challenge what you believe in, your belief system, how do you see people react? They get defensive. You don't want them to keep expressing their opinions. You don't want to hear it anymore because your ego has gotten in the way. And ultimately, that can hurt you as a person. And it can hurt you if you're a business person. It can hurt you as an employee. It can hurt you if you're self-employed. An ego is a virus. You have to remove it in order to achieve emotional freedom. And that's something that I personally used to struggle with. I had to remove and become more open to everything and look at things from a different perspective and take in people's opinions, take in different facts that conflicted with what I previously thought. And I learn from it and I grow from it. And that's why I have emotional freedom, because I removed my ego. Now, another thing that is most common to achieve emotional freedom, that is very simple, but a lot of people don't really practice, is getting a good night's sleep. Sleep. Something so basic. But how many of us can relate to when we had lack of sleep, our emotions suffer from it? Our productivity went down. Our motivation went down. Our inspiration went down. We didn't want to really focus on what we wanted to focus on because that's all we were fixated on was sleep. Scientists have shown that if you receive less than 6 hours of sleep per night, you lower your mortality rate. Sleep is something that we cannot avoid. We have to participate in a good night's sleep. And how many of us can agree that it also hurts our paychecks? when we don't get enough sleep. Everything is a domino effect in your life. When you don't get enough sleep, that compounds into other small things. And it leads up to an ultimatum. So get a good night's rest and you will achieve emotional freedom. Turn off the brightness on your electronic devices. Sleep in a dark room. Wear a mask if you have to. Because those electronic devices keep you up at night. A light will keep you up longer. It's easier to sleep in the dark. And I also put on my blue light filter if I do need my tablet on, if I do need my phone on. I enable the blue light filter. And if you don't have that, you can buy glasses that have a blue light filter in the lens. So that all day long, you're not illuminated by the light. And it's easier to sleep better. And I suggest doing this at least 2 hours before you go to bed. That would be most beneficial to you. Step number 3 to achieving emotional freedom is improving your body posture and your body language. Improving your body posture and your body language. What do you associate negativity to? What do you think about when you think about body posture and body language? You see people like the cartoons. They have slouched shoulders, their heads down. They're walking slower. Their arms are dangling. Their stomach is out. Their back is slouched. How can you feel positive with that kind of posture? Straighten up your back. Tighten your stomach. Sit up straight. Keep your shoulders at a firm level. Keep your arms in a healthy state. Let people know that you're positive throughout the day. Maybe you're an employee. Maybe you're a boss. Maybe you're a leader. Maybe you're an investor. What will people see when they first look at you? They could tell a lot about how you're feeling and what you experienced in your past. By the way you carry yourself. So improve your body posture and your emotional state will go up as well. Because what do you associate happiness with? People who walk faster, that are more lively, that their arms are always doing something, that their arms are always moving, that their back is straight up, right? So to achieve emotional freedom, you have to work on your body posture and your body language. Step number 4 is to improve your voice. That's step number 4. Improve your voice. We have a lot of power in our voice. More power than what you realize. When you speak to other people, they can tell a lot by your voice. How you're feeling today. What you've gone through. They can make assumptions when they hear what you have to say. How you say it. Our voice is one of the most powerful things that we have in our human nature. You want to be uplifting. You want to sound motivated. You want to sound rested. You don't want to sound like this and be depressed and I just don't know what's going on today. Who's going to take you seriously talking like that? How many teachers have we had where they sound like that and we don't want to be in that class? How many students want to drop that class because that's the way the teacher sounds? Not because of what they've written on the board or what they know. It's because of their voice. They could care less of what they have to say now. They could care less of what they know. They've already disconnected them. So your voice is very powerful. Use it to your utmost ability and you will achieve a better emotional freedom. Because once you have that positivity in your voice, you will receive that positivity back. You will smile. You will make other people smile, and they will talk in the same fashion. So use your voice. And tip number 5 is, of course, to exercise. Exercising is one of the best things that you could do to achieve emotional freedom. Not only does it work on the body, but it also works on the mind. It works on your emotions. It works on everything. Your mind, body, and spirit. And we have been brainwashed in this society that we need pharmaceutical drugs in order to be happy, to experience happiness. And the only thing that those drugs are doing is tricking your mind, and it's trying to expose the chemicals needed to achieve happiness. But what will our minds do? Our minds will fight that. Our minds will sense that it's not real. Our mind is more powerful than what you realize. And it will adapt better than what you know. Go back 2,000 years from now. Did mankind have a CVS? Did they go to Walgreens 2,000 years ago? When they felt depressed, did they turn towards medicine? No. They didn't have a doctor in the office that prescribed them something. A lot of people exercised. People 2,000 years ago didn't feel the way they did today. It's a different standard of living. But don't be fooled by what the doctor's recommendation is. That's not always the case. I'm not saying to ignore your doctor. I'm just saying that you have different possibilities that can achieve the same results. Scientists have found that exercising is stronger than any antidepressant. That's your natural antidepressant. It's finding a workout that works for you. You don't have to have a long workout to achieve emotional freedom. You can experience emotional freedom by just 5 minutes of exercising. Right after that, it snaps within you. You have to really focus and concentrate. You don't have to sprint. You could walk for 20 or 30 minutes if you want to. Go at your own pace. Find whatever workout works for you. Everybody is different. Everybody's intensity level varies, right? So a workout should just be for you. Don't look on YouTube and see them as motivation. Create your own workout. That's what I do in my life. I create my own workout and I plan out everything that I'm going to do for that workout. And I document how well I did it and what I felt and how I felt afterwards. Either that evening, the next day. How did I feel after that workout? Did I feel more lively? Did my body feel better? Did I feel stronger, faster? You can't just exercise and just leave. You have to have a plan, a course of action with everything that you do in your life. Exercising is no different. And people who do that are the ones that you see on TV with the optimal body because they have a plan. They have a nutrition diet. They do certain workouts when they need to. They maintenance what I call my vehicle through life, my body. And because of that, emotional freedom is easier in your grasp. So ask yourself these five tips and ask yourself, am I doing these tips? Be the 1% that takes action. And you will achieve emotional freedom by doing these 5 things. I implemented it in my life, and I encourage you to implement it in yours. Thank you for watching Spartan Health and Nutrition, and I'll see you in the next video.